Hey, what is up guys, HYDRA453 here and welcome back to another video on my channel. So today I'll be doing a quick little overview of my Endgame XM1 and just sort of going over the mods that I've done to this mouse. I was planning on doing a full review of this mouse like I normally would do, but since I've modded this mouse quite a lot, I decided it might be worth actually making a video about all the mods I've done. I can't really make a review of a mouse that's so heavily modded since, you know, so many different things are changed. I hope you guys enjoy it. If you do, be sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe for more weekly content. Without further ado guys, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so starting off with one of the most sort of, you know, common mods that you would usually see on a mouse, it's the paracord. So this paracord I got from Oz Mod Shop. Now, one thing that sort of separates this paracord mod from most, you know, sort of common paracords on most mice, like I've usually done on my other mice, or other people usually do as well, is that I've actually used the original heat shrink. So, or not heat shrink, I mean cable, like connector thing. I sort of forgot the right name for it. So this was a pretty annoying thing to do. It took me quite a long time to do. I made an XM1 paracord video and how I actually managed to do this. You guys can go ahead and watch it. There should be a little card popping up on the screen right now that you guys can go ahead and click to watch that tutorial. But pretty much it's a lot more different of a process than a generic sort of paracord of a mouse, because I wanted to salvage the original, you know, cable. I forgot the right name, but you know what I mean. The original sort of cable shrink thing here. Oh yeah, stress relief. That's the original cable stress relief, which you know gives it a really nice look. I like it. You know, it's supposed to be there, I guess. It does come with a little bit of a cost though. There's a little bit of a bulge just sort of right outside of the out of the stress relief. You can sort of see when it's down like this, it's, you know, facing underneath and you can't really see it as well unless you have it like underneath like this. So yeah, this paracord's really good. Glad I actually ended up installing this. It's definitely a lot better than the, you know, the default cable that comes with the mouse. The next thing is the mouse feet. So you might have seen before, and I had this mouse flipped over. These are not actually the default XM1 mouse feet. These are actually third-party FM1 hyperglides. So these are usually meant for the Ultralight 2. You know, I think these are actually for the Ultralight Pro. My bad, or the A58. So yeah, these are the hyperglides. The reason I use these is because I don't actually have my Ultralight Pro anymore, and I had a spare set, and I needed some new mouse feet for this mouse, since I'll admit I did kind of mess up the mouse feet originally when I was paracording this mouse. I was planning on getting new ones anyways, but I sort of didn't realize that the XM1 didn't come with spare mouse feet. So, you know, kind of made a mistake there, but it's fine because these work just as well, if not better, since it has a little bit less sort of a gap in it, you know. It's sort of objective, I guess. It doesn't really make much of a difference, to be honest, but yeah, it also makes it a lot easier to actually be able to, you know, take these off and just screw underneath, like, you know, screw under, because it's not like ripping off a giant mouse feet thing or whatever, because that way, you know, you can easily damage it like that if you're taking off a big piece. So when it's like these little small mouse feet, it's quite a lot easier to take them off because they're so small. Before I move on to the bigger sort of mod that I've done for this mouse, I do want to quickly mention that I used to actually have lizard skins for this mouse that I used for a long time, but I got a problem where, like, after a lot of use, especially like on the left click or whatever, after playing a lot of like Kovacs, so I'd be clicking a lot or like holding my mouse really tightly when tracking or something like that. The left click, you know, lizard skin that I had right there was actually sort of like falling off. I was sort of sliding off a little bit, and it was really annoying. Like I kept having to reapply it, but I kept getting the same problem. So I decided to just take all the lizard skins off entirely. It was a bit of a pain having to get rid of the residue, but I just, you know, got rid of it pretty easily with a nail polish remover. I think you can do the same thing with isopropyl alcohol, but do be careful with nail polish remover. It can actually remove the paint on some mice. Obviously, it depends a lot on the mouse, but with this one, it was fine. I mean, actually made it even cleaner than it was before, because I got rid of some of the little things in the creases, you know, in between here and that sort of stuff in the shell. So that was really good. You know, sort of a bit of a bonus as well. Now, sort of main thing that you'd see in the thumbnail, it's the actual mouse, the mouse clicks, the switches itself. So a lot of people might be wondering, you know, why you'd bother changing the switches on the XM1, especially because it's one of the main selling points of this mouse is that it's got really, like, you know, fast response time for the mouse, sub 1 millisecond, which is really good. But for me personally, I don't really see that much of a difference, to be honest. You know, sub 1 millisecond isn't that big of a deal, to be honest, considering that, you know, a lot of other mice already have incredibly fast response times, and there's been multiple tests before, like, you know, for example, on Rocket Jump Ninja's review, he compares the clicks of multiple different mice, and it turns out to get the same sort of results. So I decided that I'd prefer a different sort of feeling switch in this mouse, since I use it quite a lot. It's actually my main currently. I did switch out from the KPU to this. I mean, I might go back to the KPU, but I've been really enjoying this mouse a lot recently for games like Valorant. But anyway, let's not get too sidetracked here. With the switches, I chose a bit more sort of stiff switches, so I believe they are the... I actually made a video of me installing these switches into this mouse. They're called the Blue Shell, Blue Dot, the HYDRA switches. That's right. So they're very stiff, sorry. and they're very clicky as well, which I like quite a lot. So it's not like I like stiffer switches because I tend to accidentally misclick or whatever like very often, and having those sort of stiff switches make, you know, when I make an action in a game, it's more deliberate, and I never get any accidental clicks on this mouse. It's usually a common problem for me on, you know, with mice with very light switches, like in the KPU, for example. So it was definitely well worth the mod. For some of you wondering, it actually is not that difficult to go ahead and put in new switches into a mouse, despite, you know, the actual process looking difficult, you know, with having to solder and stuff, all that sort of jazz. It's actually not that difficult at all. The only sort of annoying part is that it is a little bit more costly than generic sort of mods, like buying a new mouse set or a paracord, because it does involve having to buy a soldering iron and a desoldering pump and all that sort of stuff. It doesn't really cost too much. I mean, for me, it ended up totaling around $25 for the soldering stuff. That's Australian dollars. I'm sure that'd be around $18 or something like that in USD. For the actual switches themselves, I think they're less than $10. So you can get this stuff really cheap. Switches themselves are very cheap, but the tools are what cost more. But if you've already got soldering iron and you've already got good experience with that sort of stuff, I'd say definitely go ahead and buy new switches. Of course, do your research before you go ahead and buy new switches, because they're all very, very different, and you want to make sure you get the ones that you're actually going to like when you make the mod. It is very difficult to go ahead and undo the mod. I mean, if you're good at desoldering that sort of stuff, I suppose it wouldn't be too hard. But for me, I'm a bit of an amateur. I'd never even soldered prior to this mod, and I didn't even bother testing or trying out on different mouse, so I kind of took a bit of a big risk there, but I was pretty confident I could do it. But I did see some horror stories over on the mouse review Reddit of some people who'd attempted the mod and actually failed and destroyed their mice. So just to keep that in mind, it is a little bit difficult, but if you don't have any experience, but I mean, you know, I'm sure you can do it, and it's well worth the result is well worth it. All right, well that about wraps it up for this video, guys. I don't really have a lot more to cover. Again, I did say I was going to do a review on this mouse, but I mean, at this point I've modded so much, the review would just really be about the shape, and I feel like there's so much about the shape already on this mouse online, there wouldn't be much, you know, point in doing it. This is my third video involving the XM1 now, so I probably won't make any more on this unless there's like a new, you know, XM1, like a smaller version or something like that. Then I'll buy it and make a review of that. But yeah, just want to cover my mods I've done on this mouse. Never done a video like this before, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. All right, well, thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.